Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Glad to be back.
We want to give a quick shout out
Yes.
to some of our listeners. Xio Luchen,
Absolutely.
Ninive Randolph Wagner, Cindy, and Tristan.
Big fans.
And Luis Minyetti. Thanks for joining us again for another deep dive.
Yes. Thanks for listening.
So today we're going to be tackling headlines from three of our favorite sources. The New York Times,
There's some good ones today.
the New York Post, and the Wall Street Journal.
Love those.
It's a good mix.
Should be pretty interesting. Let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's get started.
The New York Times is reporting on Thailand's new same-sex marriage law.
Huge news.
And they're celebrating with a mass wedding.
Yeah, a mass wedding going on right now to celebrate this.
Wow. That's
pretty amazing.
What a powerful statement, huh?
Yeah, I think it's a really big moment for Thailand.
Yeah.
This is a big cultural shift, I think.
Absolutely. And it's not just a legal change, but it really does reflect a big change in how society thinks about, inclusivity and LGBTQ plus rights.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what other big changes might be coming down the road.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Things we think are
Yeah.
just the way things are could change.
Now, for something a little bit more somber,
Right.
the Times also has a piece on the war in Ukraine.
Okay.
And it seems like they're inflicting heavier losses on Russian forces, but they're still losing the war.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough situation over there.
Yeah.
What really strikes me is how this war is tied in with, global politics.
Yeah.
The Times also talks about this rise of right-wing movements around the world.
Right.
And some of that is because Trump is back in power.
Yeah. And speaking of Trump, the Times is worried about what his presidency means for Zelensky and the future of Ukraine.
Okay.
With U.S. support maybe fading away, Zelensky's chances in the next election are looking a little shaky.
Yeah, it's a really uncertain time for Ukraine right now.
Yeah. So all these global power shifts could have really big consequences down the line.
For sure.
Okay. Let's shift gears and talk about China.
All right.
The Wall Street Journal has an article about their lunar mission.
Okay.
They're developing a robotic snake.
Oh, wow.
To explore the moon.
Like a robot snake.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of that?
It sounds like science fiction to me.
Yeah. Is it just like a cool factor, or is there a reason?
Well, the article says the snake's flexibility will help it navigate tight spaces and craters.
Oh, okay. So it can get to places other robots can't.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
It could be a game changer for lunar geology and collecting samples.
So it's not just about looking cool.
Right.
There's actual science behind it.
But, they make a point of saying it's not meant to be scary.
Well, I mean, a snake on the moon.
Yeah, come on.
It's a little creepy, right?
Yep.
But maybe they're just trying to avoid any bad press or freaking people out.
Right.
But, I think the symbolism is interesting. Snakes often represent shedding skin.
Right.
Renewal, transformation. So maybe this is a hint that China wants to completely change how we think about space.
Ooh. I like that interpretation.
A little deeper meaning there.
All right, let's bring things back down to earth.
Back to reality.
Specifically to the U.S.
Okay.
The political scene is heating up, and the New York Times has a piece about Pete Hegseth.
Okay.
The former Fox News guy.
Yeah.
He might be confirmed as Secretary of Defense.
Wow, that's a big job.
I know, right?
So he's going from commentator to actually running things.
His nomination is definitely causing some controversy.
What's that?
Especially with these new allegations about his personal conduct that the Times is reporting on.
Yeah, I mean, that position is super important.
Yeah.
And whoever's in charge there could really change U.S. defense policies.
Yeah, and the Senate seems determined to push it through, even though the Democrats are fighting it.
So it's going to be a battle.
Speaking of political battles, the New York Times also has an article about a federal judge temporarily blocking Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship.
Oh, wow. So that's a big development.
Yeah, this is going to stir things up.
Yeah, especially with everything else going on.
Especially with immigration being such a hot topic right now.
Right.
And get this, the Times also says that House Republicans are thinking about cutting Medicaid.
What?
To pay for Trump's agenda.
So they're cutting health care to fund other things.
It seems like every decision has these ripple effects,
Yeah, it's all connected.
touching on all these other issues.
It's a complicated web.
And speaking of things feeling out of control, the Times has updates on the wildfires in California.
Oh, gosh. Those are still going on.
The Hughes fire is still raging.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And the stories from residents are just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's just devastating to see what those people are going through.
And to add to all of this, the Times has a pretty alarming report about Bird flu.
Bird flu.
Possibly spreading to cats.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard about that.
Through raw pet food.
So it's not just a bird problem anymore.
Yeah. So the article's warning about the implications for public health and pet safety.
That's something to keep an eye on for sure.
You know, it's interesting how all these stories from different areas, politics, global events, health, they all seem connected in some way.
It just goes to show how interconnected our world really is.
Right. Even things that seem isolated can have these far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely.
Something to think about as we dive deeper into today's headline.
Lots to unpack today.
Yeah.
For sure. Speaking of connections, our next headline from the Wall Street Journal goes back to the world of finance.
Okay.
Some investors are betting that Trump will make Europe investable again.
Make Europe investable again. That definitely caught my attention, too.
Yeah.
So what's the logic there?
Well, the article says that some investors think Trump's policies, especially his stance on trade and deregulation, could make Europe a better place to invest.
Okay.
They're hoping for opportunities in a bunch of different sectors.
But wouldn't that depend on how European leaders react to Trump?
Right.
I mean, he's not exactly known for playing by the rules.
Yeah, that's true.
That could backfire pretty easily.
Yeah, the article does mention those risks.
Okay, good.
It's still too early to say what the long-term impact of Trump's policies will be.
Right, both here and abroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of risky moves, this next story from the New York Post is a real head-scratcher.
Oh, what?
While we're on the topic of financial ups and downs, the Wall Street Journal reports that Ericsson's shares have taken a hit.
Interesting.
Because of weakness outside of their core networks business.
Oh, so their main business providing network infrastructure is doing okay.
Yeah.
But other areas they've branched out into are struggling.
Did they say which areas?
Not specifically, but it's probably things like software media, maybe even the Internet of Things.
So maybe they try to do too much?
Could be. The article suggests they might need to refocus, streamline their operations, and really concentrate on what they're good at.
That makes sense.
Yeah, focus on your strengths.
Okay, time.
Okay, back to the news. The Wall Street Journal reports that a new obesity drug is causing Novo Nordisk's shares to surge.
Oh, wow. That's big news.
Yeah, this could be huge for people struggling with weight management.
For sure. The article highlights how effective it was in clinical trials.
Yeah.
But of course, more research is needed, and we need to watch out for any side effects.
Of course, safety first.
Always.
But it's good to see progress in addressing such a widespread health concern.
Yeah, definitely encouraging.
Speaking of health and long-term consequences, the New York Times has a piece about the potential environmental impact of Trump's retreat from clean energy policies.
Right, so this raises questions about balancing economic growth with protecting the environment.
Exactly.
The article suggests that Trump's policies could isolate the U.S. from the global shift towards renewable energy.
And that could have some pretty serious consequences for the planet.
Yeah, it's a debate that's not going away anytime soon.
It feels like we're at a real crossroads.
In so many ways. Okay, let's focus on some positive news for a change.
Sounds good.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Burberry is seeing some positive signs as their turnaround plan gains traction.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it shows that even big brands can adapt and change to keep up with the market and what people want.
It's a reminder that flexibility and innovation are key in today's world.
Absolutely. Now, this next headline from the Wall Street Journal has me a bit worried.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Strong dollar could worsen the U.S. external deficit.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, can you break that down for us?
Sure, think of the U.S. economy like a household budget.
Okay.
When the dollar is strong, it's like everything we buy from other countries becomes more expensive.
Okay.
And at the same time, the stuff we make and sell becomes more expensive for other countries.
So they buy less from us.
Right, so we're spending more and earning less.
Not good.
Yeah. That can lead to a bigger trade deficit, meaning we're importing more than we're exporting. It's complicated, but a strong dollar definitely doesn't help.
Thanks for explaining that. That's a helpful way to look at it.
No problem.
Okay, ready for a story that's both heartwarming and heartbreaking.
Sure.
The New York Times has a piece about residents returning to their homes after those devastating wildfires in California.
It's amazing to see people's resilience.
I know, right? The article talks about people sifting through the ashes, trying to rebuild their lives after losing everything.
It's a reminder of the human cost of these disasters.
And the strength of the human spirit.
Absolutely.
It's so important to remember the people behind the headlines.
For sure.
Speaking of individuals caught in the crosshairs, the New York Times also has a piece about a bishop who pleaded with Trump about the migrant children separated from their families at the border.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It really highlights the moral and ethical questions around immigration policy.
Yeah, it reminds us that these aren't just political debates.
Right.
These are real people's lives.
It's a story that sticks with you.
For sure.
Okay, let's take a break from these heavy topics
Right.
and see what's happening in sports.
Okay, what's going on?
Any good news from our local teams?
Well, the New York Post reports that the New York Rangers just crushed the Flyers.
Nice.
They're on a roll, extending their point streak.
Awesome. Go Rangers?
Yeah.
What about the Yankees? Any updates on their offseason moves?
Yeah. The Post has an article about their unfinished business. It sounds like they're still figuring out their next steps.
Oh, I love the suspense.
Could be an interesting season for Yankees fans.
And for our basketball fans? The New York Post reports that a Knicks duo achieved an all-star feat not seen in New York in 50 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's a testament to their hard work.
Yeah.
And a proud moment for Knicks fans.
Absolutely. It's those moments that remind us why we love sports.
Right, the thrill of victory, the sense of community, the chance to witness history.
Exactly.
Okay, back to the news grind. The Wall Street Journal reports that Google is cracking down on fake online reviews. Yeah, they're issuing warnings to UK businesses that are using them.
I think that's a good move.
Yeah, me too.
It's all about transparency and fairness.
Right. Fake reviews can really mislead people.
And hurt businesses that are playing by the rules.
It's encouraging to see platforms taking action against this.
Definitely.
Speaking of transparency, or the lack thereof, the New York Times has a piece about how Trump was persuaded to pardon an online drug kingpin.
That sounds shady.
Yeah, the article talks about the behind-the-scenes maneuvering that led to the pardon.
So there's more to the story.
And it raises concerns about manipulation and influence in the pardon process.
Makes you wonder who's really pulling the strings.
It's a reminder that power can be used in unexpected ways.
For sure.
And speaking of power dynamics in global affairs, the Wall Street Journal reports that oil prices are expected to end the week lower because of Trump's recent decisions.
Interesting. So this shows how seemingly unrelated events can impact the global economy.
Right.
The oil market is super sensitive.
Yeah.
And political decisions can really affect supply and demand.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
For sure.
Okay, let's shift back to domestic issues.
All right.
The New York Times has an update on the legal battle over birthright citizenship.
Oh, yeah. What's happening with that?
A federal judge has temporarily blocked Trump's plan to end it.
So that's a pretty big development.
Yeah, this has major implications for immigration policy and the 14th Amendment.
This could go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Right. This issue is far from settled.
It's a big one to watch.
And on a similar note, the New York Times also reports on the controversy surrounding House Republicans considering cuts to Medicaid.
To pay for Trump's agenda.
Yeah, this has sparked a huge debate.
I bet.
Critics say it'll hurt healthcare access for millions of Americans.
Especially the most vulnerable.
It highlights the tough choices lawmakers have to make.
Right, balancing the budget with people's needs.
And while we're talking about contentious issues, the New York Times also highlights the debate around Trump's DEI.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that.
It's created a lot of uncertainty for businesses.
Yeah, it's a complex issue with different views on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace.
Right. The article looks at the potential consequences of Trump's order.
And the challenges businesses face in navigating these new guidelines.
This conversation needs to continue.
It's important.
And it's going to have a big impact on the future of work.
For sure.
It's clear there are no easy answers when it comes to these issues.
Nope.
But sometimes it's good to step away from the heavy news.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember that Wall Street Journal article about the best books on cold cases?
Oh, yeah, those mysteries.
Maybe a little mental escape is in order.
I could use that.
We could dive into one of those intriguing cases.
Yeah, exercise our brains in a different way.
It's all about balance, right?
Exactly.
Ready to tackle a few more headlines before we wrap things up?
They bring it on.
Let's do it. I'm ready for whatever else is out there.
All right, then get ready to be puzzled. The Wall Street Journal has a piece on China's lunar mission. That robotic snake they're making.
Oh, yeah, the one that's not scary.
Right, they keep saying it's not scary, but why even mention it?
I know, it's kind of funny.
It's like they know it's a little creepy.
Like a robotic snake on the moon?
Yeah, who wouldn't find that a little unsettling?
Maybe they're just trying to be lighthearted.
Maybe.
You know, make it seem less intimidating.
Yeah, it could be a cultural thing, too.
Yeah.
How snakes are viewed differently in different places.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on from creepy crawlers.
To a different kind of unsettling situation.
Okay.
The New York Times has an article about the war in Ukraine. And it seems like they're losing fewer soldiers than Russia.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
But they're still losing ground in the war.
Yeah, that's hard to understand.
How can they be killing more enemy soldiers but still losing?
Right, it doesn't make sense.
It's about strategy and long-term goals.
Okay.
The article explains how complex the conflict is, and it shows the challenges Ukraine faces.
Despite their incredible efforts.
Yeah, it's a reminder that there's more to war than just numbers.
Yeah, it's a reminder of the human cost of war.
And how complicated it really is.
Okay. I think I need a break from all this heaviness.
Yeah, me too.
Is there anything positive we can end on?
Absolutely. Let's talk about something empowering.
Okay.
The New York Post has an article about the WNBA.
Oh, cool. I love the WNBA.
The players are embracing this competitive atmosphere.
Yeah. What's this about a new league?
It's called Unrivaled.
Okay.
It's a platform for players to compete during the WNBA offseason.
Oh, that's awesome. So they can keep playing.
Yeah, it's a unique format.
Cool.
And the article highlights some star players like Sabrina Ionescu and Kayla McBride.
Awesome. So it's high-level competition.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff.
That's amazing. It's great to see these athletes getting more opportunities to play and grow the sport.
And it shows that passion and dedication can overcome anything.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up our deep dive for today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
From lunar snakes to political battles.
Global economics to the human spirit.
It's been quite a journey through the news cycle.
A whirlwind of current events.
You know, I always feel grateful after these deep dives.
Me too.
Grateful for the chance to learn to engage with these important issues.
And to share these insights with our listeners.
So to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Remember to stay curious, stay informed, and never stop questioning the world around you.
Keep asking those questions.
And most importantly, take care of yourselves.
Yes.
And find moments of joy and inspiration.
Even amidst the chaos.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
We'll see you then.